Keir Starmer just did the one thing everyone thought he'd never do, and he did it live, in front of the entire nation. After months of pressure, a thundering 3 million strong petition, and a humiliating wipeout in the 2025 by-elections, the Labour leader finally cracked. What had simmered in whispers behind closed doors exploded into a moment of political reckoning. The UK is officially heading into a snap general election. And no, this isn't spin. It's not damage control, and it's certainly not a masterclass in strategy. It's the implosion of a promise. Starmer, who once stood behind a vow to serve a full term, no matter the cost, has now bowed to a tidal wave of public fury. In a single, quietly devastating televised statement, he abandoned that stance, leaving even his inner circle blindsided. The petition that Labour elites had written off as internet noise just redrew the country's political map. Outside Parliament, crowds erupted. Reform UK popped the champagne. Labour? Labour descended into absolute chaos. It all began with a deceptively simple question. Will you resign if you lose? At the time, Starmer laughed it off. Now, the smirk is gone. Rebellion from within, rage from without, and a country on the edge finally wiped it off his face. When he finally said yes, even his most loyal supporters struggled to believe it was real. This was the man who took Labour, gutted its soul, repackaged it with a bland centrist bow, and sold it as renewal. To watch him voluntarily surrender control? Unthinkable, until the unthinkable happened. Following Labour's catastrophic performance in the local elections, where they didn't just lose seats but got bulldozed, Starmer stood pale at the podium. His voice cracked. His hands trembled. His carefully rehearsed stoicism couldn't mask what everyone already knew. He had lost control. The words "the public deserves a fresh choice" might have been intended to sound noble, but they came off as what they were: desperate damage control. For months, he'd dismissed criticism with robotic confidence. That petition, the one that hit 3 million signatures, was laughed off as a stunt. But inside Labour HQ, the panic was palpable. Approval ratings nosedived. Voters weren't just losing faith, they felt outright betrayed. Working-class communities that once formed Labour's backbone watched in disbelief as the party turned its back on everything it promised. Only half a year ago, Labour insiders were predicting a victory parade straight to Downing Street. Now, the party is bleeding from every direction. Starmer's once hopeful campaign pledges: protect the NHS, abolish tuition fees, nationalize vital services, tax the rich, were discarded like unwanted baggage. Nurses walked out. Tuition fees stayed. Public services cracked under pressure. Nationalization was declared too expensive. Taxing the wealthy was deemed too ideological. Voters watched in real time as the principled reformer they were sold morphed into a lifeless centrist bureaucrat. The final straw wasn't a scandal or a political blunder. It was a groundswell. The petition started small, just a few angry voices, but it grew into a national reckoning. Parliament couldn't ignore it. MPs were bombarded. Streets filled with protesters. Phone lines melted with outrage. It wasn't about one man anymore, it was about accountability. And as Reform UK surged in towns Labour had held for decades, the writing on the wall couldn't be ignored. This wasn't protest voting. This was a mass political migration. Entire communities, once loyal to Labour, are now planting reform signs in their front yards. They didn't drift away, they bolted. Because to them, the Labour Party had become unrecognizable. Deaf, detached, drained of vision. And when Starmer finally stood in front of the cameras and called a snap election, few saw it as courage. They saw it as surrender. The culmination of months of dithering, denial, and disregard. The moment wasn't triumphant. It was tragic. Crowds gathered not to celebrate, but to witness a fall. Social media ignited. Reform UK called it a turning point for democracy. Labour strongholds, once firm and faithful, looked on in stunned silence. This wasn't a power move. This was a man waving the white flag. Starmer's downfall didn't happen in one broadcast or after one election. It was a slow-motion collapse. Avoidable, predictable, painfully self-inflicted. His promises were tossed aside. His critics ignored. His supporters betrayed. He who once promised politics with integrity ended up as the human embodiment of the political script. Monotone, evasive, uninspiring. Compare him to Nigel Farage, and the contrast is jarring. Farage walks the streets, talks like a local, and knows how to rile a crowd. Starmer reads cue cards, buries himself in policy jargon, and delivers speeches that could sedate a caffeinated owl. One felt real. The other felt manufactured. As Labour fractured, the internal hemorrhaging became impossible to hide. MPs leaked damning internal memos. Volunteers abandoned campaign offices. Donors shut their wallets. And that 3 million signature petition? It became more than a protest. It became a monument to everything that went wrong. Through it all, Starmer said nothing. He hid, hoped it would blow over. But the storm didn't pass. It built. And then, when it could no longer be avoided, he re-emerged, red-eyed, drained. On live TV, he uttered the words, "Asterisk, we will go to the people." Asterisk, but the people weren't waiting to be asked. They were already moving. This isn't just another election. It's a political reckoning. Labour is fractured. Reform is galvanized. And voters, especially the working class ones Starmer once vowed to fight for, are done waiting for salvation from above. They're taking it into their own hands. The tide of apathy has turned into a flood of anger. Disillusionment has become action. A once silent base is rising, not from inside Westminster, but from outside its gates. From kitchen tables, pub backrooms, and high streets that have watched years of promises dissolve into dust. They are tired of being ignored, tired of being patronized, and very, very tired of waiting. Starmer, once the symbol of Labour's rebirth, is now a cautionary tale. A politician who promised to be different, but became everything voters wanted to leave behind. The very election he tried to delay may now be the one that ends him. This has been your Critical Update. We take pride in bringing you verified, reliable reporting with zero misinformation. If you found this eye-opening, give the video a thumbs up, let us know your take in the comments, and subscribe to Info Britain for more straight-talking news. Thank you for watching.